Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the little bit of the scare of the flash, but I have something a little bit different tonight. So I wrote these little poems, around Halloween, actually last year, and I always got get a kick about finding if anyone would be afraid instead of what I created. So I'll just only read, said a few quick ones and see what it's gonna happen. So sit back and try to relax because the feeling may not last long. This first one is called The Dream. I had a truly distressing nightmare, and not very long ago. I forget most of what occurred, but the darkest moments remain clear. Darkness surrounded me as I waited alone for any signs of life. Out of nowhere came a tall, hooded figure that sent chills down my spine. The figure stared at me without eyes to taste my growing fear level. "Are you ready to go?" asked the figure, and I froze in pure terror. Said a long boat and wide river appeared, and I knew the end awaited me. I awoke with a fright, but the figure remained, wanting its dark feet. After a scream, it said I was free, but I felt a small lump in my pocket. $20 was there to end my suffering if the sleep failed to end. And this one's called The Aftermath. I was too afraid to sleep, so remained in the dark, powerless. Fear had me in a tight hole that made it hard to attempt any sleep. My room was silent, like the grave, and the grave I nearly fell into earlier. I watched the shadows for signs of the ferryman eager to return. It was it was really late, yet too early for sunlight to provide support. As my eyes struggled to stay open, I felt a chill run down my spine. A large shadow passed in front of my bed, and I felt the urge to cry. All I wanted was to sleep, yet darkness loomed out of reach. Hours passed as the sun rose in the sky, and as the sun rose in the sky, the light granted sleep. One night was over, but the ferryman still haunts, waiting to collect. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, to cause a dream like that, but I did actually have $20 in my pocket that I just did not put in my wallet when I got it. So I call this one's called Pumpkins. A poor soul lay on a cold table with faithless pumpkins all around. Thick ropey tendrils twisted into humanoid forms for added fear. All the pumpkins had long knives that hung over the poor soul's exposed flesh. With one quick slash, one pumpkin plunged the blade into the helpless being. No screams emerged from this being, even when more blades instead cut through fragile bone. Tendrils pulled the now exposed cavity apart to retrieve organs. So the being saw every instead massive tissue pulled out and placed upon cold trays. Pumpkins poked and prodded to remove masses for signs of merit. The poor being was in utter terror, and their face froze in agony. Blades came down on the being and made the painful look permanent. So essentially, this is what happens. He said, "How would you like to actually be turned into a jack o' lantern?" And this last one is called Graveyard. There's a graveyard near my house with it said, with something odd on the many graves. It said thick metal bars were placed to keep people out and the deceased inside. Legend says those who rest in these graves had obtained very strange powers. This, it said rumors of great strength. It said fire starting and mental powers were common. No one wanted to face such people or risk a quick trip to the grave. People avoid the urge to visit, but something happened one night. Loud cracks instead broke out to draw people to the graveyard to witness evil. Every bar had been broken from the inside and the contents were gone. Something horrible allowed the dead to rise and roam the earth once more. He said, "Where are the dead now? I know not, but take care to watch other graveyards." So, yeah, this is just kind of was something I used to kind of pass the time. Um, it's kind of how it is. For those people who don't really know what kind of poems these are called haikus, which are basically haikus arranged in groups of 10. I always find haikus to be kind of interesting because they often are meant to be very short, but to the point. But sometimes you just have so much more to say, and this is kind of what allows it to have. One thing I could definitely say is the fact that, the way, you would kind of read these things sounds a little too calm and collected, almost like, someone horrible is like right behind you. So who knows what fate, awaits everyone. I'd say after listening to this when you sleep, but I said I hope that something else or something good finds you afterwards. So take care and sleep well.